Hello friends, how's your day? Welcome back to Science Lesson for P3 students with me, Miss Rosa. Today we're going to have a new discussion in Chapter 6 about friction and gravity. Are you ready? Let's start! In this chapter, you're going to have 3 lessons. First, measuring forces. Second, friction and surfaces. And the last one, gravity. Let's start for the first one, measuring forces. So here, you are going to explain that a force meter can be used to measure a force. And then the second one, learn to measure in standard units and explain why they are better than non-standard units. So you can see from the student's book, page 88 until 90. First one, what is a force? Force here is a push or a pull. I have 2 different pictures. First, hands pressing on a spring, and the second one, magnet attracting paper clips. So the first question, is force acting on the spring a push or a pull? Here. Right, that is a push. And what is this? Is force acting on the paper clips a push or a pull? Right, that is a pull. Now, how can forces be measured? One way to measure the size of force is to use a force meter. This is the force meter. Forces are measured in the unit Newton. The unit is named after the famous scientist Sir Isaac Newton. That's why don't forget to mention and for the unit. A force meter is used to measure the pulling force of this load. This is the example. How we can read the force meter. So, what is the size of the pulling force? When we read the force meter, the pointer should be at eye level. If you see here, can you see the size of the pulling force applied on this picture? Right, this is 5 Newton. So let's continue about friction and surfaces. So you are going to know that friction is a force created between surfaces when they move against each other, and it makes this movement harder. Second, you are going to describe how smooth and rough surfaces can generate different amounts of friction. So here you can open the student's book, page 91 until 102. What is friction? Push a coin across a smooth table. What happens to the coin? Right, when I push the coin, it starts to slide down and stops. Then, the push makes it move. Then what makes it slow down and stop? Right, that's the friction. So here, a force acts between the coin and the surface of the table, makes the coin slow down and then stop. That's why we call it as the friction. If you see here, the direction of the motion of friction is moves against motion when two surfaces are in contact. The other example, the friction is created between the soles of our shoes and the ground when we walk. Or the other one, friction is created between the ball and the ground when the ball rolls. How do surfaces affect friction then? So here, if you have the smooth surface, there is less friction, and then the object moves easily over smooth surface. While when there is the rough surface, is more friction. The objects move hardly over the rough surface. So, coin moving across a rough carpet, how's the process? Friction depends on the type of surface which is in contact with. The forces needed will be bigger when it moves on the rough surface than a smooth surface. So now, how can friction be useful? I have some examples here. First, when you use a pencil or tie your shoelace. The friction between surfaces enable us to grip and hold on to things. And then the next one. It's easy to slip on smooth surfaces such as ice. This is because there is little friction between smooth surfaces and the soles of our shoes. Friction between the ground and the soles of our shoes helps us to walk and help the shoes grip the ground and prevent us from slipping. Next one is when you drive a car. So there's friction between the brake and the wheel. A moving car will slow down when its driver applies the brakes. So here, friction helps slow down or stop moving things. Friction between the brake and the wheel helps the car slow down or stop. The other one is friction between moving surfaces produces heat. So friction between moving pieces of wood helps start a fire. So when you make it bigger friction here, the fire will start. So how can friction be a problem? If you have the worn out soles of your shoes, here because of the friction. Friction causes the soles of the shoes wear out. If the soles of the shoes are worn out like this, they cannot grip the ground well. The next one, spinning grinder. So when we have the grinder here, friction can produce heat, and the moving parts of machines can be too hot and damage the machine. And what can we do to reduce friction? First, you can add lubricants to moving parts. Applying oil to bicycle to reduces friction and makes pedaling smooth. This one. And the second one, using rollers or wheels. The wheels on the roller blades reduce friction and allows us to go faster. Now let's continue with gravity. Here you are going to describe gravity is a force on Earth and explain that it pulls the objects towards the center of the Earth. You can see your student's book page 103 until 104. What is gravity? If you see this illustration, right, the apple is falling down. So gravity is force that pulls down the object towards the center of the Earth. The other example is when the water always flows downwards. So that's all for our discussion in chapter 6. Is it clear, everyone? Thank you so much for your time watching this video and see you in the class. Bye, everyone.